Welcome to episode 3 of Next Issue Everything Dies. In this episode, we talk about Axis number 2, Loki, Agent of Asgard number 7, Deadpool's Art of War, and Wolverine the X-Men number 10. We've also got an important update on the status of Thor's beard. Toward the end, I had to edit out a bunch of interruptions, fingers crossed that you won't actually notice. Anyway, here's the episode. Enjoy. Let's talk about some comics.
Welcome back to Cat and Chelsea Trash Sixes.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, Next Issue Everything Dies, aka What Are You Doing, Rick Remender.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Every episode.
Again, Remender can do good stuff. He's written great stuff before, and then there's this event.
And other things. Anyway, so let's talk about Sixes number 2. Also, man, I was at the shop yesterday. Today is Thursday. Sorry, people. I was at the shop on Wednesday, and I cannot look at this logo without seeing Sixes anymore. I don't even know what the actual comic is called at this point. Just Sixes.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be Axis, but the
I
S and
understand.
the I just...
I understand that it is Axis.
But it's impossible to read that way when you're looking at the logo. It just reads as Sixes.
I can't unsee Sixes. Anyway, so let's talk about this issue. Sixes number 2. Axis number 2.
Yeah, aka the Tony Stark beating himself up variety hour.
Oh my god. He literally spends the first couple of pages like catatonically moping.
Yeah, which is really incredible as far as characterization goes. It's like, Tony the Mopemeister Stark.
Especially considering, like, they're in the middle of a gigantic battle, and he's just like, I'm just gonna sit over here and cry.
Yeah, like, we've got Red Skull Onslaught, we've got the Sentinels are still going hog wild from the last issue. There's stuff going on everywhere, and people are turning blue and disappearing a lot. Falcon is, yelling at him to... Captain America, I'm sorry. Captain America is yelling at him to wake up because Tony's too busy being catatonic to notice that there's a giant battle scene going on.
Yeah, and he snaps out of it to make a Lord of the Rings joke, I guess.
Well, yeah, and I guess everybody's glad that Tony's making jokes instead of being catatonic, which is marginally better as character choices go.
Would still be better if he were actually useful.
Yeah. Yeah, instead, even once he's alert, he's sort of like, oh, I don't know what to do. What do I do? Oh, this is my fault. Oh, I screwed up. Oh no. What do I do? It's like, alright, Tony, sure.
And then anytime anybody says anything to him, he kind of goes like, I know it's my fault, guys. And like, I wasn't even saying that.
Yeah, this is seriously an entire issue of, like, Tony Stark's, like, self-thrown pity parade.
Mm-hmm.
Although, and update on the...
Yeah.
An update on the Doppler beard dar Stormwatch for Thor. His beard is back in this issue.
Yeah, I don't really... It is, though. So
he didn't have it last issue. He's got it 8 months in the future, but then he does have it in issue number 2. So in the 5 minutes between this issue and issue number 1?
Yeah, because these issues are, directly consecutive. It's like starts literally minutes after the last one finishes. So, unless Thor is the kind of guy who grows like a 5-minute shadow, the beard is back. The beard was mysteriously gone for a little while there. Also, another update, as we talked about last issue, Quentin Quire, not dead. He's fine, apparently.
Oh yeah, he's fine. He delivers one line basically saying, having to do this psychic blocking stuff, it sucks.
This is hard, guys.
Yeah, that's his entire appearance, but he is back, he is alive. I think that was a colorist error, and he was just lying in a puddle, not his own blood.
Yeah. So, and he doesn't appear to have any like serious wounds. So, pretty sure it was a colorist. But, um, yeah, he's alive. He's kicking. Quenquire's okay.
Yeah, congrats,
I know we were all
Quentin.
worried.
I was worried.
I was certainly worried.
I mean, he's got a hell of a nosebleed, so maybe he just had like
Yes.
nosebleed city into that puddle.
To lose that amount of blood from a nosebleed, that it makes like a puddle and you pass out. I don't know. Anyway, so
I'm just trying to explain like what
yeah,
happened in that last issue
I'm
because I
with you.
still don't know.
Okay, so as far as the actual plot of the issue, the heroes are getting their butts kicked by these sentinels, because Tony was not exactly conscious when he made them. He has no idea how to stop them. So again, Tony Stark kind of useless. Um, and they're losing pretty bad. And I guess they do eventually come up with a plan with Rogue and Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange to flip the axis because currently, well, in the last issue, Rogue kind of discovered that Xavier is still inside the brain part, and what they want to do is flip it so he's more in control than the Red Skull is. But then Nova screws it up for everybody.
Yeah, Nova's like, look at me, I'm a superhero. I'm gonna do some punches. And for once, doing punches is not the right course of action. Usually in superhero comics, you do want to do as many punches as possible. But here, Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange were in the middle of their spell, like calling on chaos and order to, again, flip the axis
Bum, bum.
and put Xavier in charge. But yeah, Nova comes in and too many punches happen.
And yeah, so then we lose Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange and Rogue. So
Yeah, they go all blue and glowy and disappear,
yeah,
whatever that
are
means.
do you think that means they're going to like another plane, or do you think that means they're dead?
Are they contained by the Sentinels, maybe? Because
They
the
just put them
Sentinels are supposed to be a
inside.
containment unit. I think Tony was rambling about that.
Yeah.
Because some other people turn blue for a while, but they don't disappear. Like, Iron Man turns blue for a panel or two.
And so does Cap
Yeah.
there for a bit. Then they apparently have to just move away fast enough. I don't know.
Yeah, which I guess Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch don't move away fast enough, so they turn
Yeah,
blue and
because
then are gone from the issue.
yeah, because Doctor Strange noticed that they're like, oh, he's like, we gotta move, and Wanda's like, no, we're almost done, which is never the best idea. Like, try again later, honey. But
Yeah.
so
It's
they failed, and Tony gets knocked out and wakes up like 8 hours later. Had a nice little nap there,
yeah, it's literally like the next morning when he wakes up. Like he
and
asks how long he was out and Havoc tells him it was all night.
all night. Yeah, nice little snooze. And that's when we see Quentin Quire. He is protecting everybody with his telepathic powers or whatever. And then Tony makes the hero speech.
Oh yeah, and somebody compliments him on it being a good speech. I think Havoc says it.
Yeah, it's Havoc. It's. I'm just gonna read the hero speech
Oh, go for it.
because. Okay, well, they have the whole like tomorrow we die kind of thing where they all agree like, well, it's been nice knowing you guys. I love you. Da 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 da. And Tony's like, no. And he's been like sleeping for this whole time, so they probably thought of every plan they possibly could have. But Tony's like, no, I'm awake now. I have stuff to say. It's like, shut up, Tony. But it says, I'm not going to die here. None of us are. We're not leaving the world to the Red Skull. Janet, you asked me why we do this, why we have to pay the price. I didn't know then, but I do now. It doesn't matter why we do the right thing, just so long as we do it. We've been given the tools, so we either step up or watch the world burn. And then Havoc says, damn it, that was a pretty good speech. He's right. Because Tony Stark is the hero, making the hero speech.
Of course.
And then everybody, like, once again, like, reconciles and tells each other that they love each other. And everybody is friendly with Scott Summers again.
Yeah, I would love to know what's happening with Havoc's face in this. He's looking kind of Deadpoolish.
Looking a little Deadpool-y. I think maybe he got his face burned in the last issue.
Okay. So punches happened to him.
Yeah, punches happened to his face. Because he was fine earlier in the last issue. So I assume this is kind of like after stuff happened.
Okay, so it's the aftermath of battle and his face is all fucked up.
His face. Yeah, so he does look a little Deadpool-y here. So, speaking of Deadpool, I guess we can get to that part at the end here. So, yeah, stuff happens. Magneto ditches them, kind of leaves Tony to die there a little bit, but Nightcrawler saves the day by teleporting him, which is what happened there. So when Tony wakes up, Magneto's gone. He kind of feast.
Magneto was fucked off for 8 hours so that he can go hang out in issue 7 of Loki, Agent of Asgard?
At the very least, it was 8 hours. So they kind of go out for their last-ditch effort, and everybody's gone except Tony by the end of it. I don't know. He seems to be the most useless person in this whole issue, so I don't know how he lasted the longest.
He stood around shouting and didn't actually fight. And then, then his armor fails. It's like systems failure. Reserves depleted.
Yeah, so I don't know how he actually managed to stay alive that long. But he's there at the end, all smoking and stuff. He doesn't have his face shield. And Magneto comes back, talking about how he's real good at fighting Nazis. He kind of has his little hero moment. And he has brought with him several villains and, chaotic neutral types with him. So now, because earlier in the issue it's kind of been explained that Tony's Civil War files only had documents on heroes, which doesn't actually make sense to me.
It's kind of a nonsense thing.
He's like, oh no, I only made them for heroes, not villains. It was like, well, considering you were actually actively trying to fight villains most of the time, that's kind of a weird decision on your part. But yeah, so the Sentinels are hero containers, not villain containers. So I guess the villains are going to be able to save the day. And why I say that connected to Deadpool is Deadpool is there.
Yeah, Deadpool's hanging out in the background.
We got Loki, we got
Mystique,
Carnage, Doctor Doom. Woo!
Yeah, we've got the Hobgoblin. We've got that one guy from the Wrecking Crew whose name I don't ever remember. But he is from the Wrecking Crew. That's who that guy is.
Yep. Anyway. Bunch of cool people show up. And I should mention the Sixes frame has returned, and it is in that. It's actually it's a 2-panel, but like a calendar fold. I don't know how to describe this. It's vertical two-pager.
Yeah, so you have to turn...
I've loved the 2-page spreads in this, but this is our first... Oh, you have to turn it on its axis!
Holy shit! Okay, we've got true next-level comics happening here, with a 2-page spread that you have to turn on its axis. Whew, yeah, Remender's really knocking it out of the park here.
Gosh.
This is top-notch conceptual work.
That doesn't punch you in the face at all.
I mean, it took us this long to figure out what was happening there.
I only just realized it when I opened it up and then turned it, and I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't have a physical copy of this one. This one I only got digital. So I didn't actually know that this was a 2-pager. It just looks like a regular page, but kind of wide.
No, it is a 2-page vertical fold.
Yowza. Well, that's, again, that is truly next level, and congratulations to everyone who...
Everyone involved, yep.
Yeah.
So that's Sixes. I think we'll try to refrain from trashing it for 40 minutes like we did last week. So, unless you have something else to say, we could move on, probably.
No, because last week we only had 2 issues to talk about because of all the various technical troubles and lack of comics to read. Whereas this week I picked up like I think 7 things maybe. I don't know. For me, that's a really heavy week.
Yeah, I think I had like 11, but a lot of that was me trying to catch up on things that I have been very behind on so far. So
that's fair. Yeah, I do feel like briefly bringing up Loki, Agent of Asgard number 7, because that ties into Sixus, and it actually makes sense this time.
Ooh.
Like, I wasn't entirely clear how number 6 was going to lead into Sixus, other than, getting Loki and Doom in the same place, since I knew villains were going to play a pretty big part in Axis itself. So it got those 2 together, but it had Doom, like, besting Loki in a battle of the wits, which was a pretty fun thing. And, Loki's sort of ace in the hole was he brought his friend Verity Willis, who can tell if people are lying or not, which I guess is why she's friends with Loki, because he can't lie to her. Anyway, so he brought her along, and in this issue, she, like, pals around with Valeria Richards a while. That's, Sue and Reed's. Yeah, I was about to say Sue and Storms. all I could think was Sue Storm.
Sue Storm, yeah, Sue and Storm's daughter is different.
That's not a character who exists.
Not a thing, but
ooh, yeah, all I could think was Sue Storm, and I was like, who the fuck is that other guy? He's got a beard in the future, but not in the past.
Yeah. Reed Richards.
Reed Richards.
Most annoying smart guy.
Jesus, I completely blanked on Reed there for a minute.
Reed.
Anyway, so Valeria, who has been living with Doom for the past while,
I don't know why that is. I have missed the part where I don't know when that happens or why.
God, that happened.
I've seen now that the Richards daughter lives with Dr. Doom, which is, I feel, a weird choice. But it is a thing that exists that I don't know why it exists. You don't even have to explain it. I'm just going to say I don't know why that is.
Okay, I'm not going to try and explain because I'd have to try and remember stuff that I don't remember very well.
I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point.
It was from, like, Hickman's FF and Fantastic Four run is sort of where the roots of that came in. Because Valeria, like, went to Doom for help with a problem way back when, but this is a, like, 2-year-old, I think, storyline, so yeah, I'm not gonna go over it. Anyway, Jesus, that was a derail. Sue and Storm, yeah. Anyway, so Loki's friend Verity and Valeria Richards go free Loki from the, like, imprisonment that Doom's got him in. Meanwhile, like, the wave of hate that Red Onslaught has been sending across the world is, washing over Latveria, and the usually calm and peaceful Latvian populace is all, like, rioting, and Doom comes in, is like, what the hell are you rioting for? And they're like, hey, it's you, you're the, evil oppressor guy, and start throwing shit at him. He freaks out. And then, like, Valeria, Verity, and Loki all sort of figure out that the solution to this is Verity has noticed the wave of hate because it feels like a lie in her head, since she can detect if people are lying or not. And she remembers that Loki has this sword, Graham, that if you stab people with it, it, like, forces them to see the truth of their nature. And so they find a way to, like, amplify the truth stabbiness of this sword and send waves of truth stabbiness across all of Latveria. So, Verity comes up with this plot to truth stab all of Latveria, basically, with an invention of Valeria's that, like, amplifies the truth stabbing. Like, I don't know how how else to say what it is. Like, he stabs something with his sword, and it makes everybody see the truth and realize that they're not actually that hateful and angry, and that they should go back to being peaceful Latvians instead of having this hate amplified in them. And then at the end, Magneto like busts into Doom's castle and destroys some Doombots that are guarding the entrance because they're made of metal and he's Magneto. So after the truth stabbing happens, Doom, thanks Verity Willis and says, your quick thinking may well have saved it. Know that you are a trusted ally of Doom. And Loki's like, wow, have fun on all those terrorist watch lists. Because being pals with Doom is probably not actually the greatest for your reputation. But yeah, then Magneto like busts into the room, and Loki and Doom have sort of been arguing over like, well, what do we do now? Do we talk about old times over a glass of wine? Magneto's like, no, you either watch the Red Skull burn the world or you fight him for it. And so he sort of summons them all to go off to fight the Red Skull with him, and that's why Doom and Loki show up in Sixus.
There you have it.
Yay!
It's kind of just like, because I haven't read anything else, it was kind of like, okay, Magneto left, and then he came back, and he had friends.
Yeah, Magneto just sort of fucking off and disappearing in the middle of Sixus doesn't make a lot of sense if you haven't read, like, other issues, so it's sort of relying a little too heavily on tie-ins that people might not necessarily be reading. Which I guess is fine.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, he's back, I guess.
It's just like, oh, Magneto fucked off and he's back. Okay. And I assume that in other series he's running off and gathering, the other villains of his crew. So presumably that's over in other books that I haven't read and don't really plan to.
But if you don't read any of those, that's where Magneto went.
Yeah, Magneto just fucked off around the world gathering villains to help him out. That's what we've got going on.
Okay.
So yeah, what did you want to talk about next?
Well, I guess I was gonna do the worst segue ever there. It was speaking of dudes with beards. Which actually
That's a great segue. Speaking of dudes with beards, how about New Avengers?
So, New Avengers 25 came out this week, and it marked me finally catching up on New Avengers. I was on issue 11 for about a month, because I really wanted to wait for the trade for 12 to 17, which was out. I just couldn't find it. I finally got that, and then I had all the other issues to catch up, so I am now fully caught up on New Avengers. Feels pretty good.
Congratulations. So that means you've read it all much more recently than I have?
Yeah.
Whereas I've been following along since about issue 15. Like, I caught up through issue 15, and then I've been reading it monthly since then.
Okay.
So it's been a while on some of this for me, and I don't ever remember things very well.
Alright. So, okay, in issue 25 here, I think we're 8 months in the future?
Yeah, we're 8 months in the future.
Yeah, from number 23 was, Namor kind of collects his,
Yeah, Namor collects the Cabal.
The Cabal. I was like, what does he call it again? Yeah, so he collects the Cabal, which is a bunch of evil people who are more equipped to deal with destroying worlds without feeling guilty about it, but then they kind of enjoy it too much and he feels bad about it, and then he talks to his pal Doom, and anyway, that was a couple issues ago. So I didn't realize until right now looking at the cover. So here we are in, the future, and they're still kind of trying to figure out how to do things, I guess. How to do things. They have some new friends. Amadeus Cho is kind of the bigger new character in this one. It's mostly about him. He gets captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. and interrogated by Sue Storm. not Sue and Storm. Just the one. Just the one.
Just the one Sue.
Just the one Sue.
Sue
and
Richards.
Well, I'm gonna keep calling her Sue Storm.
Yeah, no, it's easier to call her Sue Storm.
Sue Storm's a way better name than Sue Richards. Susan Richards. And Amadeus kind of goes all, I'm very smart. You are not very smart. I'm not going to tell you anything. Get me a sandwich, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, but there's people who are smarter than me.
Sandwich. He just keeps asking people to bring him a sandwich. Which is actually, it's pretty funny. Anyway, so the remaining Illuminati, which is like Reed Richards and Beast, I think.
Mm-hmm. And Hulk is there.
And, yeah, and, well, is he?
Yeah, he is. He's the square-headed green guy.
Okay. Why does he look like that now?
Because this artist doesn't know how to draw the Hulk.
Okay. I was wondering if that was actually a different green guy.
I'm about
he talks very normally.
80% sure that's supposed to be Banner.
Well, one second. They usually have trailers to the right here.
Yeah, the art in this is not serving Hulk very well, if that is Hulk. If it's not Hulk, they don't ever say who it is.
It is. It says it's the Hulk / Dot Green. So. Okay. Yeah, alright, so apparently that's the Hulk. Anyway.
Yeah. Reed's rocking a wicked beard this entire issue.
Pretty great beard. Yeah. I just realized that the cover, because I haven't actually looked at it until, like, right now, is all of their coffins, which is really morbid. But kind of awesome.
Yeah, we got, like, Reed and T'Challa just sort of hanging out in a ring of coffins.
Yeah, with all their buddies' logos on it. And not their logos, right?
No.
No. Just their friends' logos. So
yeah, who's the Atom supposed to be a logo for?
I think Banner, probably.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, you're right. Yeah, I was like, the X is either Beast or... Yeah, it's probably Beast. It's not Xavier at this point.
Yeah, he's been dead a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Beast now, I guess. And, I guess the one, like, red thing on the left is,
I don't know, who cares?
is, wait. I know
you got this?
Strange. That's his eye thing, right?
Oh, like a closed eye of Agamotto. Okay.
Or maybe, yeah. Okay, yes. Yeah, like it's the eye thing. That's what I meant. Yeah. And then Namor's trident is down there, Black Bolt's logo, and I assume that's an arc reactor for Tony, so...
Yeah, that's probably what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tony is absent this whole issue, because Tony is apparently, like, devoted to being useless this week.
Like, Tony's just, like... he's really busy.
Where is Tony in this? I don't think we ever find out.
Tony, Black Bolt, and Doctor Strange are not in this. They get question marks over their faces in the character intros. So I guess that means I don't know where they are either.
Yeah, it's 8 months later, they fucked off somewhere. Who fucking knows?
Namor got excommunicated, so he's not in this either.
Right.
He's fully excommunicated from the Illuminati.
Yeah, he's off, like, begging Doom for help, and Doom is like, nope, sorry. Doom was no man's second choice. Oh, Doom.
Anyway, yeah, so not a lot actually happens in this issue, so it's kind of... They're basically just living in a cave and observing Cho getting interrogated by Sue. And Sue says that she once again is against her husband. I don't know how this marriage has lasted, to be honest, because every time I see them, they're not just fighting, they're like on different sides of like a war.
Yeah, I feel like they're constantly at odds with each other.
Straight up hate each other.
Even in, like, Fantastic Four issues, and, like, over in FF, they're constantly Sue was constantly like, what the hell are you doing trying to do shit on your own? Because Reed is always trying to do stuff on his own without asking for help.
Yeah, he works long hours, comes home, doesn't see his kids, you know. He's not really a great dad or husband.
No, he's really not. That's part of why Valeria, like, ran off to Latveria to hang out with Doom.
Doctor Doom is a better dad than Reed Richards.
It's completely true. I feel like he's a better father figure to Valeria, and that's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Look at your life. Look at your choices, Reed Richards.
Yeah. I mean, well, Doom is the better man and always has been. Mm-hmm. So it only makes sense that he would be, the better parent figure.
Yeah, so...
Oh, Doom, you're so superior.
Yeah, and then, also, Captain Britain.
Oh, yeah, Captain Britain, he's hanging around.
Braddock is here, and he's got a ridiculous beard also.
His beard is bonkers. He's got a mustache that's hanging down for days.
Yeah, and because of the way his, Captain Britain cowl is, it's just, beard. His whole face is beard.
It really is.
And it's kind of awesome. So, I'm going to give him Beard of the Week.
I think...
because his whole face is a beard.
Yeah, he is absolutely allowed the Beard of the Week award. Yeah. So I feel like pointing out very briefly here, this is not really related to Beard Chat or to anything, but in multiple issues this week, there have been ads for the Xbox game Sunset Overdrive, and every time I glance... Yes, every time I glance briefly at it, I assume that it's an ad for a video game starring Quentin Quire, because it's got this sort of punk-looking dude with a pink mohawk thing that looks enough like Quentin Quire's, partially shaved head that I'm like, oh, it's Quentin Quire in a video game.
1000% has happened to me every time also.
Yeah, so it's not actually a video game about Quentin Quire, but I would play that, and I just wanted to drop that in there because I had that page open. And it seemed not relevant, but I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. We talk about Quentin Quire all we want, so...
Exactly. I will talk about Quentin Quire for the next 10 years if you give me the chance to get started, so please don't. Talk about something else.
Okay. Oh god. Okay. Anyway, beards. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
He's looking a little weird in this, too. It took me a while to figure out who some of the characters were.
Yeah, I feel like the art in this issue is mostly, pretty competent, but since it's not who we're used to on this book, figuring out who the artist is trying to draw is a little weird.
And I have generally liked all the artists for New Avengers.
Well, I didn't like that guy who did, 22? Where it was the aftermath of Namor, pushing the button, but before that issue 23, there was one fill-in that had really terrible art, is what I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah. I don't know if... I read them so fast yesterday that I don't actually remember the art much. I was just
everyone just looked super, jagged and ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Totally remember now. Because I was like, that's not what I want him to look like.
Yeah, everyone looked super weird in that one.
And this one, especially because the issues right before that, I got used to the Namor's wispy hair and bitch face.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, when I think it's Valerio Shiti is his name. I think is the regular artist who draws cool looking Namor.
Yeah, I've read something else by him that I like.
Oh, nice. But yeah, so I think this artist, if he was the regular artist, then I would have no problem with these designs. But since it's coming mid-book and he's a fill-in, it does make things a little confusing trying to recognize people.
Yeah.
But if we'd been reading an entire run of this, I would be like, yeah, this is good, and I know who everybody is. But since it's not, I don't.
Yeah.
Which is a really coherent point to make.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it was just a little... Because I'm used to seeing these characters drawn differently, it took me a while to figure out, as you can see, because we literally just figured out that was the Hulk. Um, if you can't tell it's the Hulk, I think there might be some inconsistencies with the art.
Yeah, not being able to draw the Hulk recognizably is definitely a really weird weakness and a really huge one.
He seems really small.
Yeah, it's a very small Hulk. His hair is very neatly groomed.
Well, that was actually the thing with Beast that confused me, is that he's like he's still blue, but he's bald and has a beard. It's like, it almost looks like he, like, shaved his head, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Beast looks more like a guy with pointy ears than like a, weirdo cat-ape mutant guy.
Yeah, and Reed Richards has a beard.
Yeah, Beast kind of looks like he has a beard here too. Like, usually that would read like face fluff to me, but in this it does look like he's got a beard as well.
He's got some pretty serious mutton chops, as always, but
yeah.
There's no hair on top of his head.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like, the Hulk has like a mohawk that's like slicked back, I guess. I don't know. They seem to have had time to do some grooming. Because here's the thing, is I'm pretty sure Reed's been getting his hair cut, but like has been growing the beard like intentionally.
It's a sadness beard.
Yeah, because Sue, like, she's off working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and like trying to find him and all this stuff, and he's grown a beard, as dudes do.
Yeah, she's trying to track him down because he did the patented Reed Richards thing of fucking off, doing his own thing, and not asking for help.
Yeah.
Like usual.
Because I'm sure Sue Storm wouldn't be able to help.
Sue Storm is understandably kind of pissed about that.
Yeah. And then kind of one more thing. I guess at the end, T'Challa comes back after the last issue, and he makes his way back to whatever cave this is, and apparently Wakanda has fallen. So, which happened in the last issue, but he kind of reports it as a finality.
Yeah, because the rest of the crew did not know that Wakanda had fallen. So I guess they learn it here, and it's very dramatic, except that we already knew it.
Yes.
It feels like a kind of weird thing to do as a last page reveal, or like a last page like moment, just because it is already something we knew.
It was actually like the last page of the last issue.
Yeah, it feels like they could have like teased at something else or ended on something else dramatic. But
especially because they keep hinting that they're going to be able to find them if he teleports back there, which he does. So you could have it, end on them being found or something, or having to move, or it just seems like a weird ending note, as like it's supposed to be really dramatic, but we already kind of knew that. So
yeah, and usually like Hickman's writing is really solid. I usually really like his pacing, but that does feel like a slightly weaker point than usual there.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it, Hickman. Next month.
Okay, Hickman, you got this. I trust you.
Yeah, I trust him about as much as I trust any writer. So
yeah.
I
trust him more than I trust Rick Remender.
Do you?
I don't trust Rick Remender is the problem.
I would trust your dog more than I trust Rick Remender.
My dog is staring at me really intently right now, and I do think I would trust her to write better than... Oh, Jesus. Okay, my dog just got in my face. Hello, dog.
She knew you were talking about her.
Yeah, she did. She understood that she was the subject of that conversation there. Anyway, so you read Deadpool Art of War, didn't you?
I sure did.
I did not read that. I have no idea what it is.
And I actually was the same way until I just read it. So I obviously intended to read this. I saw it on the release calendar a couple of weeks ago, so I was like, what is that? It looks kind of cool. I have no idea what it is. And it wasn't until I just read it that I did find out what it was. So basically, the first few pages are Sun Tzu, and he explaining what the Art of War is for those who aren't familiar with the book, The Art of War.
In case you've never heard of Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Yeah, I mean, if you've never heard of it, you're lost anyway. Don't worry about it. They actually do explain it in pretty great detail, what it is and what it has contributed to and all of the stuff. I think there's probably, direct quotes lifted from it also. But basically, the descendants of these people that he killed, to demonstrate how the art of war works and how it can work with anybody, he kills 2 women, and basically their descendants hire Deadpool to go back in time and kill him.
What?
And so Deadpool goes back in time and kills Sun Tzu and takes his scrolls that have the art of war on them. And you'd think that would be a bigger plot point. And he goes back to the present day with these original scrolls, and it hasn't actually changed anything, so there's no space-time continuum thing that he messed with.
Well, that's good.
The Art of War has still been a bestseller for centuries, and it's in dozens of translations and adapted to business and all of these other strategies. But Deadpool's apparently never read it, so he didn't know that. But the publishing lady says that if he finds a new angle for it, she will publish it for him. She might be interested. So he says that he would... What if he did it as a survival book, how to survive a war? And she says, yeah, but the world's not at war. And he's like, I can fix that.
Oh, Deadpool.
So he's like, who does war the best? Asgardians. So he goes off. He does some research on a laptop on a rooftop. I guess he's probably stealing somebody's Wi-Fi. And he decides that Loki and Thor would be the best to start a war. And it's at that point where he's doing his research and finds out that Loki is in fact a kid, apparently. So he says Loki's a kid.
Is this kid Loki or teen kid Loki?
It's the kid Loki.
Okay.
So it's not even anyway. So I'll explain it.
Okay, sorry. Go on.
Kid, whose bright idea was that? And Kid Loki on the computer screen replies Matt Fraction. Says, well, that's no good. That's not the Loki we need. And then he finds the woman Loki. And that's not going to work for him either.
Oh, Lady Loki doesn't work. Okay.
Yeah, no. And he asks who did that, and it's Straczynski. And then he says, okay, here we go. And he finds Loki the way he ought to be, circa Silver Surfer number 4. And, so he's a badass, gunning for Thor, living exiled in a castle surrounded by his minions.
Sure.
And then Deadpool goes to that Loki. And they explain that by Loki saying, how did you get here? And he is like, I had to find... And he just kind of hand waves it, as Deadpool generally does. Cool, has Guardian helmet and stuff. And eventually he convinces Loki. So apparently this Loki hasn't read The Art of War either. So Deadpool explains The Art of War to him, and then he can now use that to make war on Asgard. And then Deadpool goes and tells Thor that he's Loki's advisor, and this is about to happen, but it's all part of Loki's plan. Of course, it's all trickery.
Of course.
And Thor and his buds go off to save the day. But it's all a deception, and you attack them when they're not ready, kind of thing. So, basically, he wants to start a war on Earth, and to start a war on Earth, he starts a war between Loki and Thor, because the wars of gods always, spill over onto Earth. So he figures that's a good way to start it, yeah. And I guess that's where we are right now, because he wants to get rich off an adaptation of The Art of War is what the plot of this comic is. It's kind of strange.
It sounds not kind of ridiculous, but possibly kind of great.
Thoroughly ridiculous. It might get better. I'm a little, anyway. But that's kind of what's going on. Most of it is, in Asgard, with, this Silver Surfer number 4 Loki. specifically. And yeah, the art is a little interesting. I kind of like art differently most of the time. Just the colors are, I don't know. I can't really explain it. The colors are too light for me. You know what I mean? They're all kind of pastel.
Okay, yeah, so it's like a little washed out in terms
Yeah,
of
so
the
it's
color
all
palette.
it's washed out for like the whole thing, which is, it's a style, and I'm sure I'll get used to it. The the lines and the drawing itself is good.
Yeah, it just seems like a sort of odd color choice for a silly Deadpool goes to start a war and travels around to various Lokis book.
Yeah, and yeah, because I like part of the reason that I like Deadpool's current series so much is because all the art and the coloring is all very, very vibrant, and it really brings out kind of Deadpool's ridiculousness.
Right, it fits with the tone of the book and the character.
But I guess they're kind of going for like it is like a vintage historical washed out. Actually, yeah, if you read the current Deadpool series, whenever they go to like the past, it's the same kind of, or like the 70s Deadpool filler issues. It's kind of the same style of coloring as that. So it's kind of like a this is in the past thing.
Like a vintage throwback.
Yeah, I feel like it would have worked for like the first part of it where he's like in ancient times China for some reason. But when he's in Asgard and stuff, I don't know if I would necessarily color it that way.
Yeah, having flashback colors for Asgard seems like a kind of silly decision, but hey, it's one that they made. That's fine.
So, and also like, there's present day stuff too, where he's at like the publishing house or whatever. And yeah, same coloring. So that would kind of be my complaint. Like Deadpool's kind of more pink than red. So,
well, Pink Pool is cool too.
Pink Pool. Yeah. So that's The Art of War. I mean, I'm going to keep reading it because I'm pretty sure it's going to get hilarious at some point.
Right. But yeah, as long as the writing's entertaining enough and, the art is still tolerable, if not completely blowing you away in the color department.
Yeah, it's just, the coloring I would like to be different, but that's about it, really. I think some of this art would be really exceptional if it had better coloring. That's just how I feel. But it's definitely one that I'm going to keep reading and see what the hell's happening here, so...
Right, sounds like a fair assessment to me.
Also, I think if Deadpool wanted to make a lot of money off the Art of War's original scrolls, he probably could just sell the original scrolls.
You'd think so, but then you don't get, like, royalty payments. That's just, like, a one-time thing.
But I think he kind of skipped that part because he doesn't know that the Art of War is a thing in the future. So, he isn't, that might have escaped him.
Yeah.
Logically.
I mean, it sounds like a very harebrained scheme, so...
As per Deadpool. Deadpool up to his regular shenanigans.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah. What else we got this week?
Let's see, I haven't... Okay, so I've been reading Wolverine and the X-Men, yes. And then Death of Wolverine has been going on the past, little while, and I haven't read any of that. What I have read is the tie-in issue after Wolverine's death, which is Wolverine and the X-Men number 10. And there's a few other books that sort of like have the aftermath of Wolverine dying, which, spoiler alert, he does die in Death of Wolverine.
What?
That's bonkers! But anyway, so, it's been this, like, much sort of anticipated thing, like, oh, Wolverine's gonna die, and then he's dead. And since Wolverine and the X-Men is the book set at the Jean Grey School, which Wolverine founded a couple years back, this issue has this woman who's been trying to write a book about Wolverine's life. She comes to the Jean Grey School and ends up talking to a bunch of the students to ask them like what they thought about Wolverine and how how they feel about him. And so it's an entire issue that's just like a bunch of different little scenes that are all illustrated by different people, so you've got a whole bunch of different art styles, which is pretty cool and pretty interesting, and it's just like a lot of little mini sort of like retrospectives and eulogies from a bunch of the different students and characters around the school. So like there's a nice scene with Beast and Iceman. There's like a really good scene with Armor. There's a cool 2-page spread from iBoy. She talks to Phantomex and I think Kurt at one point. There's a really like fucking wild scene with Evan Sabanur, Genesis, who looks like a total hipster in this. He's usually not depicted as like a hipster. I don't know how else to describe him in this issue. Like, that's just straight up what his appearance is in this. And it's kind of nuts, but kind of great. I really love it.
Oh, wow. That is such... Wow, he's wearing like a vest and everything.
Yeah, he's got like a vest on over a t-shirt. He's got like the sides of his head are shaved, but like the hair on the top of his head is kind of like curly and tousled.
Imagine what a hipster looks like. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's just straight up like hipster Evan just running around, which is cool. I like it. It's a great look.
That is not what he looked like when he died in the 60s.
Yeah, it's really not at all. But yeah, anyway, so hipster Evan makes an appearance. Edie has, a nice scene of her thinking back to different moments, trying to sum up Logan. There's one with Brew. I'm just listing off characters who this journalist talks to. Because I don't want to spoil it, because I actually really would, if you're interested in, like, current X-Men stuff, if you liked the previous run of Wolverine and the X-Men, like, even if this run, like, if you've been reading it and you've just been like, what the hell is going on? I don't know if I want to keep reading this. I feel like the Death of Wolverine tie-in here is really worth reading because it is written, it's written really well, and seeing all the different art styles and seeing how all the different characters sort of reflect on their life and times with Wolverine. I think it all, like, the issue comes together really well, and it's a nice little sort of a tribute issue to Wolverine.
That sounds pretty cool, actually. I have been meaning to... It's on my list of things to read, which is a long list of things to read, but you have convinced me to read this one. This issue, it kind of reminds me, not that I've read it, but from your description of it, reminds me of, in the Death of Captain America run, there was the Fallen Sun issues, and those all had, different characters coping with Steve Rogers' death at the time.
Right.
So it's kind of like a same kind of like bunch of people kind of talking about what Logan meant and did for them, and I think that's kind of cool, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It works really well, I think, and it's a cool issue. And again, I haven't read the actual Death of Wolverine storyline, and this doesn't suffer from not having read that. As long as you know, hey, Wolverine's dead, then you know enough. Because I don't think the characters in the book don't seem to know how he died either. Kid Gladiator is arguing over how it must have happened with a couple of the other characters. And they're all saying oh no, I don't think it was Sabretooth. Sabretooth, has too much of a man crush on him, and somebody else is oh well, maybe it was such and such. So they have a little banter session among the students over who it was that brought him down. So they don't know either, and neither do I.
I also don't know how Wolverine died. Actually, now that you talk about it,
I feel like I should probably look that up. And I was at the comic shop today, and the guy. Because when I was picking up my books, I picked up Storm number 4, and I picked up Wolverine and the X-Men number 10, but I didn't pick up Death of Wolverine, and the guy at the counter was just oh, not buying into, the Death of Wolverine hype, and I was yeah, no, I don't feel like reading it. And that's my entire reason for not reading it, is just, I don't feel like it. I'll probably get to it, when the trade comes out, or I'll think about hunting it down at some point, but At this point, I'm fine without it. Like, I'm happy to read the ongoing, like, X-Men books around it without actually reading that.
Yeah, I'm always actually kind of tempted to pick it up, even though I have absolutely no frame of reference for it or anything. But I'm always kind of tempted to pick it up because I don't know if they have them where you are, but where I am in Canada, there are a couple. Well, actually, I think every issue has had like a Canada variant, I'm pretty sure.
What?
Yeah, so every issue has like a Canadian variant, from what I can tell. I always.
What?
Because there was an issue of Death of Wolverine came out yesterday, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah. Every issue so far I've seen has this, has a cover where it's like a Canadian flag and there's a bunch of like maple leafs on it and like different stuff like that. And it's happened for like multiple issues that I've seen.
Oh my gosh, that's
so
incredible.
I don't know if it's just because, and also Wolverine's kind of big up here because he's Canadian.
Yeah.
I get a Wolverine statue here. But
nice.
Now that he's dead, gotta give the guy a statue.
Now you gotta commemorate him even more because of him being dead.
Canadian variants, I'm pretty sure, are what those are. Not that I've actually physically picked one up, but from what it looks like, there's always a Canadian one.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like what that is, and that is fantastic news. I'm really happy to hear that.
I'm surprised you guys don't get them, but it's the Canada only.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course Canada is going to get the Canadian variants. I can see, I guess, why we don't get them, but that is a little sad.
I am looking it up. Death of Wolverine gets Canadian variants. Man, you have to look these up. If you haven't seen them, the background on these is definitely what I see every time. I think it might be the same cover. I don't actually know, but they have like this Canadian flag pattern on them. It's amazing.
Here the covers are like this like metallic, like glossy cover. They're very they're not holographic, but they're metallic, so like it's shiny. I don't know how else to explain it.
Well, if you look up Death of Wolverine Canada variants, you will find them. They're amazing.
Okay, yeah, so intrepid listeners, go do that, because that sounds really incredible.
It's great. It's fantastic.
Wow, that's still like the best news I've gotten today.
The Death of Wolverine Canada variants. I'm so proud that they gave us variants just for us.
Good job, Canada. Good job.
Woo! Thanks, Marvel. They won't bring back Alpha Flight, so...
Yeah, we don't have an Alpha Flight ongoing. We don't have a Great Lakes Avengers ongoing. So clearly they do have some ground to cover.
Yeah, and then they killed Wolverine, so what are we going to do? They gotta give us something.
Yeah, I mean, the Great Lakes border Canada, so that's kind of almost throwing you a bone.
We have Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Okay? We share them. One's called Lake Ontario.
Exactly. I mean, I just really like bitching about the Great Lakes Avengers. It doesn't have to actually be relevant, just if I can find anything even resembling an excuse to bring them up, I will do it.
I'm going to just point out that this is the second podcast in a row, which probably makes us the first podcast ever to mention Great Lakes Avengers and Alpha Flight 2 weeks in a row.
Well, congratulations to us.
What I'm going to say right now, 2 words, is Squirrel Girl.
I'm still excited for that. We also talked about that last time.
Yes, we did. So I'm just making it 2 weeks in a row for 3 very obscure subjects.
Yeah, although Squirrel Girl isn't obscure now. She's like all over the news. She's the hot topic for everyone to discuss.
Read Squirrel Girl when it comes out, y'all.
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff announced this week, but I didn't bother to write any of it down. I'm completely disorganized this week, so I don't have any, like, oh, hey, this thing's happening.
I was looking through the release calendars. I saw that there's going to be some Death of Wolverine kind of spin-offs, like a Captain America and Deadpool one, which is actually, the one that I would definitely read.
Right.
It's old Steve, but it looks pretty fun as per Deadpool. So I'll probably read that.
Oh,
Um,
Wolverines is spinning out of
oh
the
yeah.
Death of Wolverine
Oh
thing.
yeah, there you go. There's a thing that we learned.
Yeah, so that's gonna have like Mystique and Sabretooth and I think Daken is gonna be in it somehow. I thought he was dead. And then like Laura Kinney, X-23 is also gonna be in it, which I'm incredibly excited about. So I'm gonna be reading that purely for Laura Kinney. Yeah, so I'm gonna be reading Wolverines pretty much purely for Laura Kinney. I mean, everybody else is cool too, and it sounds interesting. But if Laura Kinney is in a book, hey. So anyway, Wolverines is coming out, and that sounds good. Deadpool and Captain America is coming up, and I know there was other stuff announced. Spider-Gwen got a book announced, I think, so she's gonna have an ongoing of some variety.
Yeah. A lot of the Edge of the Spider-Verse books came out this week. I didn't read any of them though. But I'm just saying, those did come out this week also.
Right, those came out, but I'm not really reading anything Spider-Man right now. Like, I want to catch up with Superior Foes, because I've heard that's pretty good. But I haven't actually been reading Superior Foes of Spider-Man, although an issue of that did just come out.
Yeah, I did physically pick up an issue of Edge of Spider-Verse, but I did not pick it up in the metaphorical sense.
Okay, so you grasped it with your fingers and you lifted it and then you replaced it upon the shelf where you found it.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
There was definitely I thought about buying it. That's good, right?
That's something, sure.
Yeah, sure. What else did you buy this week?
What else did I buy this week? I bought Miss Marvel number 9, which I haven't read yet. Storm number 4, which I haven't read yet. And I still need to read Witches from last week, which I did finally pick up, but I haven't gotten around to. It's a very pretty looking book, a very scary looking book, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I might read that too, actually. I've seen some stuff from it. It looks pretty cool. So, yeah, I might, it's almost time for Halloween night.
Yeah, sure.
Scared a little. Yeah. I also picked up Miss Marvel, but I picked up the entire series so far, so I have not read it.
Nice.
Because I would have to get through 9 issues, but I will be caught up by next week, hopefully. Maybe.
Yeah, well, next week we probably won't be talking about it, but whenever the next issue comes out, which I forget when that is.
Well, I'll be ready to talk about number 10, guys.
Hooray! And then let's see, next week, what will we be talking about? Axis number 3 comes out.
Woo!
We've got Cyclops number 6, Deadpool 36, and a couple other books that I've been reading that we may or may not get to. All New Ghost Rider number 8 is coming out. All New Invaders number 11. She-Hulk number 9. And there's a few other things coming out.
Yeah, I might actually talk about Original Sin Annual next week because my store was actually sold out of it this week.
Oh, wow.
By the time I went in at noon. Huh. So that was pretty impressive. It's the first time I've ever seen a new release be sold out by the time I got there. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But apparently a bunch of people came in to get that one early in the morning. So did not get that one, but I did order a copy for myself.
Oh, I did get that this week. I forgot about that one. I haven't gotten around to reading it yet. I've got it sort of on the back burner because I wasn't planning on talking about it today. So I was like, that one can wait until after the other issues that I was planning to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I caught up on Captain Marvel from last week too. So.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, next time I'm going to try and actually get like news and stuff together before we start recording so that I'm not sort of desperately scrabbling for like, oh wait, what's happening? What do I remember? Nothing.
Our last segment of I think this is happening.
Yeah, I'll try and have something actually prepared. I didn't have time to prepare stuff this week, but next week, fingers crossed, I should have time to actually track down that info prior to recording and then we will be able to read the news in a coherent and organized fashion instead of scrambling. It'll be great.
We should have it with one of those like 80s news themes in the background.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'll probably edit some really sick, like vaporwave sounding music into our background.
Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, next issue, everything dies. Plus, we get sweet background music and the news.
Signing off.